In today's climate, you always need to be ready. Nothing will make you a more accurate or confident shooter than Crimson Trace laser sighting systems. Get the immediate, decisive advantage of the world's only grip-integrated laser sights. Shoot better. Stay safer. Call 800-442-2406 or visit crimsontrace.com for a free copy of our new laser training video, The Laser's Edge.
I'm a gun owner.
Your views, advice, and questions are the driving force of Gun Talk.
You know, I don't think that guns are scary things.
Visit us online at www.guntalk.com. Call Tom now at 866-TALK-GUN, 866-825-5486. Let us know what you think about the gun-related issues of the day. Now, back to Gun Talk.
Alrighty, our number 866-TALK-GUN will get you in here. Don't forget that we do have the giveaway going on. That is the Excess Sights package this month. Amazing package. We're giving away a Remington 870 Tactical Express shotgun with the Excess Sights dot front and ghost ring aperture. But the cool part is there's only one of these ever being made. It's custom lasered with Excess Sights and the Gun Talk logo. You can enter for a chance to win. Go to guntalk.com/win. We get so many questions from people who say, and often I say they ask the wrong questions. It goes along with that theory that most of the time we worry about the wrong things. People say, well, when can I shoot? And I always say, well, that's the wrong question. There's just like a whole bunch of other things that you ought to be asking before that in a self-defense situation. How do I avoid it? What can I do? Well, there are a lot of books about concealed carry for citizens. People who are not law enforcement. But the truth of it is, you could say that there's a much larger body of work and certainly a much larger evidence package, if you will, experience package in law enforcement. And joining us to talk about that is Kevin Davis. He's the author of a book about law enforcement use of force. It's called Use of Force Investigations, a Manual for Law Enforcement. Kevin, how are you?
I'm well, Tom. How are you?
Well, I'm glad that you are here. Now, just so people understand, you've got 30 years experience in law enforcement. You're currently a law enforcement officer?
I am currently a full-time law enforcement officer assigned to the training bureau of my agency. I am a firearms instructor as well as a use of force instructor.
Now, when you say use of force, that's something that law enforcement people know what that means. But I think probably a lot of people who are not LE don't. Can you explain what use of force means?
Well, it doesn't apply just to the law enforcement officer. It also applies to the private citizen when we're talking about self-defense. And there's a couple different categories of use of force. There is the use of non-deadly force. That would include things like pepper spray and tasers and those types of batons or what have you. Then there's the use of deadly force, which is commonly referred to when we're talking about firearms.
Right. So the idea behind use of force is knowing what to use, when, and at least for agencies, you've got policies that all the officers are supposed to know about, and I'm sure that's what you spend some time working on. But for those of us who are not law enforcement, who are concealed carry folks or have a gun at home, how do we create our own policy for use of force?
Well, the impetus for the book was really the sad case of far too many law enforcement officers being charged with crimes when they had followed the law and properly used force. And I'm sure you're saying, well, that sounds familiar when we're talking about private citizens as well.
Absolutely.
A law enforcement officer is empowered by law to make arrests, to seize people, and those seizures are based on the Fourth Amendment. So the standard under the Fourth Amendment for police officers is objective reasonableness. We don't have to be perfect in our use of force. We just have to be reasonable. Now, you probably heard that as well when we're talking about private citizens, the reasonable man theory, using your concealed pistol or revolver in defense of your life based on the reasonable perception that your life or the life of another is being threatened with death or serious bodily harm. So in that respect, reasonable officer, reasonable citizen, or private citizen is pretty much the same thing.
Okay. When you're, first of all, I'm going to let you describe why the book and what's in it, because this is, and I'm reading the reviews, and actually some of the people who have given you glowing reviews are officers that I know and have worked with. I mean, this book is getting rave reviews within the law enforcement community, and we wanted, you and I thought, well, let's have this out here so people who are maybe not law enforcement, they can pull something from it too. But what's in the book? Give people an idea of what's in here.
Well, first of all, it starts with, and your audience may be interested in, you watch CSI or some of these TV shows on television, cop shows on television, and the police officer, let's hope the hero, shoots the bad guy and then drives off into the sunset. That's just not the reality of police use of force. It's a lot more complex than that. So it starts with the legal basis for use of force, talking about, when police officers can and can't shoot. So that might be of interest to your audience, so they know and can make a better, as supporters of law enforcement, can make a better decision themselves. And oftentimes what happens, and you see a corollary here with private citizens, is that there's a rush to judgment. That these, and the bulk of the book is about developing what is called totality of the circumstances. And totality of the circumstances, I cover things like the sympathetic nervous system, or what's commonly known as fight or flight or body alarm reaction, those things that happen to you when you or someone are placed in threat of death or serious bodily harm, that there's this hormone released by the brain and this cascading effect through the body that impairs performance, impairs thinking, and all of that. So we talk a lot about that, but it also, and this is an important one, impairs memory. Post-critical incident, we have what's called critical incident amnesia, where officers, soldiers, and even private citizens may have no recollection for parts of the encounter. They really have, it's kind of a blank there because of this critical incident amnesia. And also we throw into that memory part something that science has developed over the last few years or found out about called inattentional blindness. And the science here says that you can only remember what you were focused in on. So say you were tunneled in on the bad guy with the gun, you may not have seen a second suspect, or you may be so tunneled in on what you're doing that you're not paying attention to what another officer or another citizen is doing. So, is that, let me ask you, is that why, or at least I think this is true, that after a shooting, an officer has a period of time before he or she has to make an official report or statement on that? Yeah, it's actually, and we've made improvements. When I first started in law enforcement, which is too many years ago, we actually had the sad cases of where law enforcement officers who had just been in a fight with an armed suspect and won it, and were locked in the suspect holding rooms, and basically they were treated as suspects in homicide. Now, homicide is defined as death at the hands of another, so certainly we're talking about homicide, but we should be talking about the citizen and the police officer as the potential victim of a felonious assault or murder. And that's a big paradigm shift there. So what we used to do is we'd rush in there and we'd want to get a statement from the citizen or a statement from the officer right afterwards. And what we've found is that the interviewee, the officer or citizen, actually has a better working memory after a couple of sleep cycles. So after 24, 48 hours, when they've had a chance to burn off some of those stress chemicals, they actually have a better recollection of what happened. Well, taking that information, applying it to me as somebody who carries a gun, and a lot of people who are carrying guns or maybe involved in a self-defense shooting, and obviously when it's over, you call the police and they come and they want a statement. And one of the things I've always heard, people say, well, don't make a statement, call your lawyer, buy yourself some time. It sounds like maybe there's some scientific evidence to back up that advice. There is. It's not an always and everything. I'll give you a for instance. Maybe there is evidence that would vindicate you as a citizen and your use of deadly force in a self-defense scenario. You want to point that out to the investigators. And in the book I talk about things that officers should talk about, like where they were positioned, where the suspect was, in what direction rounds were fired. And these types of things can aid you as well. Mm-hmm. And then after that basic conversation about what happened, I was in fear for my life and I fired in this direction, etc., then make a statement that, I'll be willing to talk to you more, but I need to have my attorney present. And I'll tell you why. Okay. And that's because the attorney is there. I mean, these are stressful situations.
Sure.
And, you're not thinking, you're still coming down from that stress overload of being involved in a deadly force situation, and you're not looking out for your rights. A police officer isn't either. So the question is would I advocate for a citizen to make a statement when I wouldn't advocate to a police officer to not make a statement without an attorney present? So this is an important thing that your audience can do is go out and in the legal community and find an attorney that is knowledgeable about self-defense and knowledgeable about these types of situations, and just say, hey, if 0-30, if I call you, will you represent me? And kind of preload your legal stuff. I mean, you don't have to retain them by forking out any money,
right?
But you do want to have somebody that you can call.
You want to have that number in your cell phone. Kevin, look, we don't have nearly enough time to go into everything. It is a fabulous book. It is really, really interesting to kind of pull back the covers and learn the stuff that's being taught, and then you could extrapolate from that how this applies to everybody, not just police officers. I think every police officer ought to have a copy of this, but also anybody who has a firearm for self-defense needs to get a copy of this just to learn about it.
Well, I appreciate that, Tom, and sadly, it took some tragedies to be the driving force for me to write the book, but the information is out there, and I think it's valuable.
And the book is titled Use of Force Investigations, A Manual for Law Enforcement. We have it on our website, guntalk.com. You go to Tom's Picks there. You can get it on Amazon. Any other place they should go, Kevin?
Well, as they say, wherever fine books are sold.
I love it. Listen, keep yourself safe, and thank you for doing this. This is a service to all law enforcement and to the rest of us who are taking care of ourselves and our families.
Well,
All right, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, the book is, again, Use of Force Investigations, a Manual for Law Enforcement, but not just for LE, it's for all of us. I guarantee you can learn a lot from this. You got to kind of dig through it, but it's meaty, it's good. This one is an important one to have in your collection. 866-TALK-GUN, 866-TALK-GUN.
Long-range shooting is challenging and fun, but most precision rifle bullets aren't right for hunting. Nosler's AccuBond LR long-range bullets are designed specifically for hunters. They combine the incredible on-game performance AccuBond bullets have delivered around the world with incredible long-range properties. High ballistic coefficients make for bullets which shoot flat and defy the winds. The sleekest, flattest shooting, bonded hunting bullet ever designed. Nosler's AccuBond LR. For more info, visit nosler.com.
The Ruger SR-45, a large caliber pistol with a trim, ergonomic profile. Like the popular Ruger SR-9 and SR-40, the SR-45 is perfectly sized to be comfortable and controllable with a slim, ergonomic grip and narrow slide. It features an adjustable 3-dot sight system, Ruger's unique reversible back strap, an ambidextrous manual safety and magazine release, and built-in Picatinny rail. The Ruger SR-45, another rugged, reliable firearm from Ruger.
In the field or on the range, you need a trigger you can trust. For over 60 years, Timney triggers have been trusted by hunters and shooters everywhere. A Timney trigger could mean the difference between a great shot and a miss. Timney triggers are proudly made in the USA and come with a lifetime warranty. To order, go to timneytriggers.com. That's TIMNEY triggers.com.
The .45 Auto, also known as the 1911, is the standard other defensive pistols are measured against. No matter what pistol you carry, techniques developed around the 1911 are vital. you know you need training. And you know your concealed carry class definitely was not training. Now Gun Talk presents an exciting DVD, Fighting with the 1911 with Tiger McKee. Tiger's unique training style will have you drawing, moving, shooting, and running your gun better, no matter what style pistol you prefer. At ShopGunTalk.com, you can order our DVDs of Tiger's instruction. ShopGunTalk.com also has a 2-DVD set, including Concealed Carry 1. Get both for the information you know you need. This really is life and death. ShopGunTalk.com has DVDs, books, and other essential gear. ShopGunTalk.com. That's ShopGunTalk.com.
The XDM 3.8 Compact from Springfield Armory is 2 guns in 1. Use as your concealed carry gun with a compact magazine and use the extended magazine for home defense. Carry 13 rounds of 9mm in the compact magazine and a whopping 19 rounds in the extended magazine. To see the entire family of Springfield Armory XDM pistols, go to SpringfieldArmory.com. That's SpringfieldArmory.com.
Sign up for our Gun Talk newsletter and join the Truth Squad at www.guntalk.com. Now, back to Gun Talk with Tom Gresham.
All right, let's take a poll. What is your home defense gun? I want to know. 866-TALK-GUN. Shotgun, rifle, handgun, what model? What is your go-to self-defense gun and why? This one's easy. Help me out here. 866-TALK-GUN. Line 4, Ethan's with us out of Mountain View, Arkansas. Hello, Ethan.
Hello, Tom.
So you ever thinking about getting a Ruger?
Yeah, I've done some research on piston versus direct impingement ARs, and I really think that a piston rifle would probably be what I would like to have.
Okay.
And I just wanted to know what your thoughts were on the Ruger SR556.
Well, let's see. I have one about 20 feet from where I'm sitting right now, if that tells you anything. I think Ruger is making a fabulous piston AR. The SR556 is really sweet. I don't know if you've read much about it or looked it up. We actually have done some video on it, and you might be able to find that on our YouTube website for Gun Talk Media. But with the adjustable piston, if and this is, you ought to clean your gun, but if the thing starts to get gummed up and starts to malfunction, you can adjust the piston and get maybe a couple hundred more rounds out of it while it's shooting dirty, which is kind of a sweet deal. Also, if you should at some point decide to put a suppressor on it, you can adjust the piston. You can actually make it a single shot so it doesn't function, which makes it, of course, really quiet. I mean, it's a sweet operation. On top of that, it's just a real... my personal experience is that I have found it to be a very reliable AR. Originally, and I'm going to backtrack, probably 10 years ago, a lot of the ARs we were using were not all that reliable. We had problems with a lot of them. In the last 3 to 5 years, I think they've all been real good. But is there a particular model of the 5.56 you're thinking of?
Just the standard model, because I've gone on the Ruger website and looked at their different models, and I think their standard is what I would like to have.
Well, and of course, from there you can dial it up as you want to. So I don't think you're going to go wrong there. And look, you already looked at it. You know that piston guns are more expensive. You can get a direct impingement gun for less money than this, but there is clearly perceived value in getting the piston gun. So let me ask you this: have you looked locally? Can you find one in your area?
Well, actually, I've gotten on a website called armslist.com, and there's a few of them in the Arkansas area.
Okay.
But I've been kind of looking at that, and one of them that I'm looking at right now, they're selling it for $13.95. And I think that would probably be a pretty good price range compared to the $2,000 mark that Ruger puts on it.
I'm going to suggest one other place for you to look before you pull the trigger, so to speak, on this one. If you'll go to galleryofguns.com, They handle a lot of Rugers, and what they do is they would, you buy it from Gallery of Guns, that's the guys at Davidson's. They ship it to your local dealer to do the transfer, and the dealer makes money out of it. It's a really sweet operation, so the dealers don't resent it. And it also comes with an additional warranty from Gallery of Guns guys.
Okay.
So take a look at Gallery of Guns and see what that does for them. In fact, I'm over there now just kind of looking and see what they have. I can't do all the clicking, but I tell you, you could do that, put in your zip code, and it will talk you through it. But you're not going to make a mistake here. When you buy Ruger, anytime you buy brand name stuff, it's good. I mean, Sig, Smith, Stag, Ruger, any of the brand names are good, but specifically the 5.56 I like. Well, like I say, I wouldn't have one if I didn't think it was a real nice AR. So I wish you luck with it.
Well, thank you, and thank you for your advice.
All righty, you have fun with it. Well, and ultimately, isn't that what it's all about? It's having fun. And is there anything less fun than a gun that doesn't run, that makes you crazy? Originally, a lot of the ARs that we were shooting back when I was doing the first-person defender, not first-person defender. Yes, I was, I'll think of it in a second. We did Guns and Ammo, and then we did Peterson's Hunting, and then we did Personal Defense TV, PDTV, for intermediate, which I created that one. A lot of the ARs we got would not run well. They were not reliable. They were jamming all the time. One of the things we found, by the way, if you have an AR and it's having a problem, there is a decent chance the problem is you haven't lubed it enough. With every other gun out there, we always say don't over-lube them. With an AR, it's pretty hard to over-lube them. The darn things ought to be just slinging lube everywhere. And there are a lot of good lubes out there. Slip 2000 is one that has been recommended by a lot of guys that really know their stuff and who know ARs better than I do, frankly. I just pass along what I hear. But basically, you want to lube the devil out of them. If you're not sure how, you don't know how to take apart your AR, all that, man, YouTube is your friend. You can see everything there. It can show you how to disassemble it, how to swap out the uppers, how to do modifications, how to clean it, how to lube it, everything. When you're trying to find out anything about gun disassembly or anything like that, don't forget YouTube. Some of them are goofy, but there's some real good stuff there, especially on the Gun Talk channel on YouTube.
One of Talker Magazine's 100 most important radio talk show hosts in America. You're listening to Gun Talk, heard every week at this time on great radio stations across America. Stay tuned. Gun Talk is coming right back. Covering all aspects of gun ownership every week on this fine radio station. You're listening to Gun Talk with Tom Gresham.
All right, are you watching the Olympics? I love the Olympics, hugely. At a certain point, I begin to wonder some of the things that are called sports. You wonder about Summer Olympics. Well, come on, dancing with a ribbon? Give me a break. But I do like the Olympics. And they've had some coverage, I've been really happy to see, on the biathlon events. So they've had the sprint events so far. By the way, if you haven't done it yet, run over to YouTube and put in Barnes Twins Biathlon and look at the fabulous commercial that Guinness, the beer company, put together for them. It is really quite the story where Tracy and Landy, who we had on the radio show here a couple of months ago, Tracy got a slot. Landy could not get a slot because she was sick on the day of the qualifying event. Tracy, her twin sister, gave up her slot so that Landy could go to the Olympics. So Landy is there. Let's see here. I just had the report up. But they did not win. She did not win the sprint event. And I'm not sure. I haven't even been able to check to see if she competed in that. But we'll keep you posted as we go along. We'll be sending out tweets. By the way, if you're not on Twitter, you're missing out on a news feed. Because my tweets are basically like a news feed. I'm sending out reports, stories that are breaking all over, and a lot of you help me out. I appreciate that. You're sending me emails and sending me tweets and saying, hey, here's a story that you may want to send out, and that's fabulous. So over on Twitter, I'm at Gun Talk. Pretty easy for you to find. All right, the question on the floor is, what is your home self-defense gun. For many years, everybody said shotgun. That's the way to go. And look, there's nothing wrong with a shotgun. I think it's a great tool. What was it? Ed Head at Gunsight once said, he says, look, anything that can disassemble a person is a pretty good tool. Talk about the shotgun. And yeah, it can do that. But a lot of people have handguns stashed various places. And what's interesting is that the AR has become a viable and popular home defense tool. The AR-15 rifle, shooting the .223 caliber bullet. Have you had somebody tell you, oh, you don't want to use that because it'll just go through all the walls and out into the neighborhood and through like 12 houses or whatever? I'm curious to know what you've heard. But also, have you made the switch? Is an AR part of your home defense system? And I like to think of home defense as a system. It's awareness. It's your behavior. And look, when I grew up, we never locked any doors at all. I grew up in a small town in North Louisiana. People left their keys in their cars, in the ignition of their cars when they parked downtown with the windows rolled down. Okay? Now, of course, we lock cars. And frankly, I have changed. It took me a long time to get there, but I lock the doors to my home when I'm home. I don't leave the doors open. And you say, well, gee, what's that about? I do a lot of what ifs. And look, I am not like super trainer, tactical ninja, or as someone said, I was not a ranger in SEAL Team Delta, all right? But I hang around with those guys, and I hang around with cops a lot, and I work with them, and I hear the stories, and I pay attention to what they say, because these are the guys that know what the bad guys really do. And I read reports all the time. And what I get from all of that is, anytime, day or night, people are breaking into houses. People are doing push-ins. People are doing home invasions. And you know what? If you really want to make it easy, leave your door unlocked. So we keep the doors locked. It's not a big deal. If somebody comes to the door, I can unlock it if necessary, if I need to. I also put in, and I would suggest this as a possibility for you, and this is part of our expanded system, if you will, layers and layers of security. Think about putting one of those, I don't know even what they call it. It's a camera by your front door. It's part of a doorbell system. When somebody rings the doorbell, you have a system inside where you can see them and talk to them. It's great if you can see them, but even if you can't see them, you can talk to them with an intercom system. The point of that is, and let me explain what that's about. The point of that is that you don't have to go to the door until you know who's there, because you may not want to go to the door, depending on what kind of door you have, if it exposes you for sight or whatever. So an intercom system, maybe with a camera, maybe without. Keep your doors locked. Do you have an alarm system? Do you have good lights? Do you have motion detector lights? Good idea. You understand we're talking about all of this before we ever even get to the idea of a handgun or a shotgun or a rifle. And then if we're going to go to that point and talk about having a gun in the home for protection, where do you keep it? And this is not rhetorical. I really do want to know, where do you keep your gun? The drawer of a nightstand? Which, look, people say, oh, it's terrible. That may be a good choice. If you don't have kids in the house and they're never visiting, or you put them away when they visit, a drawer of a nightstand may not be a bad place. Yeah, safe, certainly a fast-opening safe. Nothing wrong with that either. But let me know, what are you using, what are you counting on for your home defense gun? I want to talk to Mark on line 3 for a second. He's in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Hello, Mark.
Yeah, I was wondering if you, by any chance, might remember the brand of a .22 Magnum pistol held 30 rounds, and I believe it was originally designed for the Olympics.
A .22 Magnum?
Yes, sir. If I remember right, it had a round white emblem with a red cross in the center of it.
Wow. I got to tell you, I didn't know they ever shot .22 Magnum in the Olympics. Shoot .22 long rifle in the Olympics, but frankly, I've never known a .22 Magnum that was accurate enough for that. I don't know. You know what? We'll have to put out the call for somebody. I mean, I don't know if this is Hammerly or what it is, because I'm thinking Hammerly and Anschutz are the big names for Olympic guns. But let's do this. We'll put out the call. If somebody knows a 22 Magnum, was this a handgun? Yeah, a pistol. Okay, 22 Magnum pistol, holds 30 rounds, used for the Olympics. Sounds kind of like the Kel-Tec PMR 30, although that's definitely made in Florida and not made for the Olympics. 866 Talk Guns. If you can help us out, give us a holler.
From day's first light till night's last glimmer, your satisfaction is our responsibility. On the range or in the field of duty, you can rely on Brownell's lifetime guaranteed gun parts, tools, and supplies. Anytime, any place. It's how we've done business since 1939. Brownell's.
Crossbreed Holsters is broadening our product selection to serve more of your concealed carry needs. With products handmade in the USA, like the bedside backup, gun belts, and of course our world-famous Super Tuck and Mini Tuck holsters, we understand what works, and we take pride in providing you with a quality product. At Crossbreed Holsters, we live and breathe concealed carry. We make and sell products that we believe in and products that our customers love. To see more, go to crossbreedholsters.com. That's crossbreedholsters.com.
Professionals who depend on their weapon depend on XS Sights, the leader in American-made gunfighter night sights for personal and home defense. One dot, one solution. See demonstration videos from top trainers and industry leaders at xssights.com. Upgrade your carry gun, rifle, and tactical shotgun with XS Sights. Contact XS Sights at 888-744-4880 or visit xssights.com. If you need a gun, you need XS Sights.
Hi, I'm Tom Gresham. For more than 40 years, I've been watching an environmental disaster in my backyard, and it actually impacts all sportsmen in America. I'm talking about the massive loss of land on the Louisiana coastline. The U.S. Geological Survey said the swamps and marshes of coastal Louisiana are among the nation's most fragile and valuable wetlands. That land is disappearing. The Mississippi River Delta hosts as many as 10 million ducks and geese every winter. These are birds which migrate northward through the states, all the way to Canada. The wetlands of the Delta support some of America's best fresh and saltwater fishing. And here's the deal. The wetlands of the Mississippi River Delta are disappearing at a rate of 1 football field every hour. 1 football field every hour. Gone. We can reconnect the river with its wetlands and restore the Delta, but we need your help. Please visit vanishingparadise.org. That's vanishingparadise.org.
You know the name Walther is a legendary brand, but do you know the new Walther? The new Walther has introduced 3 new precision handguns. The smooth PPQ M2 is a breakthrough in ergonomics and trigger pull. The tough PPX is a workhorse at a value price. The cool, iconic PPK S22 blends classic PPK with the fun of the economical 22 LR. There is a lot going on at the new Walther. Visit us at waltherarms.com. Walther, at your favorite retailer.
Thanks for being one of the 100 million gun owners in America who support Tom Gresham's Gun Talk. Even if you don't want to be on the air, you can still email Tom with your questions or concerns at tom@guntalk.com. Now, back to Gun Talk.
All right, what do you do if you're in the gun business, you got a store, and you put a big sign up, and you got a billboard on top of your building. It's been there for 50 years. And you put a sign on it that has an AR-15 on it, and all of a sudden, for the first time in 50 years, the city comes and says, take it down. What do you do? Well, we're going to talk to the guys who have that store in, about 20 minutes, so you're not going to want to miss that one. All right, let's go to the phones. Line 3, Ed's with us, Wichita, Kansas. Hello, Ed. Talk to me.
Hey, Ed. Hey, this is Ed. Thanks for taking my call. And I'll get right to the point here, and I'll listen to your response. I wanted to call and talk about what my self-defense firearm is at home. and what kind of guns I have laying around in each room, this kind of thing.
Okay.
A couple things that I learned in one of the classes I took was, of course, the best weapon to have in a gunfight is a gun, and the best gun to have in a gunfight is the one you have with you.
Right, absolutely.
And I don't like to leave guns laying around loose in my house. You asked about ARs. I have a short-barreled AR-45 with a laser on it and a light on it, and it's even a short barrel, and you can put a can on it. And I always thought, boy, that would be the best weapon because you've got accuracy, you've got a good, 45 ACP round. But I'll tell you, that thing does not fit in my holster. So I have finally reduced all of this down to, for me, I carry just a short 3-inch 1911 45 ACP with night sights on it. And that's easy for me to have with me wherever I'm at. Works good at night. And, I don't have to leave it laying around. So,
do you
anyway,
wear...
Thanks for taking my call, and I'll hang up and I'll listen to the response.
Okay, appreciate it, Ed. Well, I don't see anything wrong with that, and I gather from what Ed says that he actually wears it in his house. I know that people say, well, you wear a gun in your house? Yeah! Well, unless you got to put it down somewhere and then walk away from it. I mean, why wouldn't you have it with you there? I don't understand what would be the problem there. Line 4, Lance is in Eastern Oregon. Hello, Lance. What kind of home defense rig have you got?
Well, 1 second. I want to say one thing. There was a guy that used to write for Guns and Ammo by the name of Grits.
Yep.
And he wrote one of my favorite articles of all time, Just Plain Vanilla.
Just
about his
plain
favorite
vanilla.
rifle.
He was a pretty good writer, too.
He was excellent. Miss that guy a lot.
Yeah, I know. Every once in a while I do, too, as you might imagine.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. All right.
So, anyway, definitely an AR. 5.56, 55 grainers are awesome. They don't go through sheetrock. They tend to stop right there. It's good when you got kids in the house. Last thing you want to do is poke a hole in a bad guy and have it go through the wall and hit somebody you didn't want to hit. That longer barrel, better sights, more accurate. Got to compensate for the offset between the sights and the barrel. But
right.
And the guy that taught me this was old Clint Smith. He's kind of the earliest advocate for using those 5.56s in the home.
Absolutely. I think Clint was one of the very first people to talk about. He called them the urban carbine, and was the first people. Clint and Heidi, actually before he and Heidi were together. 25 years ago, he was pushing that. Now everybody's talking about it. One thing I got to say though. Understand that 55 grain bullet will go through sheetrock. It'll go through the first wall, first 2 layers of sheetrock, and probably won't exit the second 2 layers. But understand it will absolutely go through the first wall of 2 layers of sheetrock. I know that from experience. I've shot them that way.
Sure, and that's why we have sheetrock on both sides of the wall, right?
Right, yeah, but what I'm saying is it will go through the first layer and the second layer that's one wall. So it will go into the next room. Understand that. Right. It will go into the next room.
And I guess my point is that we know 9mm without the right kind of bullet will just punch holes right through the wall and keep trucking right on out.
No, you're exactly right. 9mm, in fact, every pistol bullet we've tested and shotgun slugs and buckshot all go through multiple walls, whereas the AR stops in the second wall. Obviously, if you said, okay, I want something that even has less than that, and boy, this really sets people off. You can go with birdshot and a shotgun, totally lethal out to 7 yards, maybe 10 yards, but you're probably not going to get any kind of lethal action on the backside of a wall with it. So maybe. The main thing is, of course, know where everybody else is, know what's beyond your target. That includes what's in the rooms behind it, and if you're not sure, don't shoot. Bad guys get to shoot through walls indiscriminately. We don't. Why is that? Well, because we're the good guys. We're responsible. And you know what? You're responsible for everything that bullet does until it stops moving. We're proud of being responsible, we take it seriously, and we behave accordingly.
Gun Talk stands for safety, personal responsibility, and common courtesy. To be a part of the show, call 1-TOM-TALK-GUN. Gun Talk will be right back.
All right, back with you here. Tom Gresham, 866-TALK-GUN will get you in here. Let's go to line 3. Norman's with us out of California. Hello, Norman.
Yeah, I think that we should have a legislator gun confiscator watch that identifies and publicizes the name of these legislators up here in California especially, that instigate these through the back door confiscations of guns, publicize their names, and at election time support their opponents, get them out of office. And it wouldn't hurt to set fire to a few of those bodies that they hang from lampposts with their names on them.
Burn them in effigy. I hear you. Now, here's the thing, Norman. You know what? We do have a published list of all those people. And if you belong to the NRA out there, and you belong to California Rifle and Pistol Association, and if you are over on Cal Guns, all that information is out there all the time.
Reach the public.
Are you involved with gun rights out there? Do you belong to California Rifle and Pistol Association or the NRA or the Cal Guns group?
Well, I'm 88, and my guns have all disappeared among family members. Mm-hmm. But I'm concerned about the major problem we're going to have when they start coming after us, and they're going to come using the military to do it. It's like down in Australia, they were able to use the United States Marines in assisting them in confiscating those private guns, that program they went through.
Well, Norman, I would say this. Be careful about what you read on the Internet. Not everything you read is true. But let me, look, I appreciate the call. The idea of publishing the list of legislators who are against gun rights, we do that. And I'm not being hard on Norman, but I'm just saying that information is there. Now, somebody's not going to come and knock on your door and hand you the list. You actually have to do a little bit of work yourself. You have to belong to the NRA. You have to. I don't care if you don't like them, you have to. Because that's where most of the action's taking place. But at the same time, you have to belong to your state group. I don't care if you're in California or Mississippi or where you are. Find the state group and join it. Because they're the ones that are watching the legislature for you. And look, they're watching your legislature much better than the NRA is. The NRA does everything it can do, but they're not on the ground in every single location. And a lot of times your state group will coordinate with the NRA and say, hey, we need some help on this, and then they pull together. But you have to be a part of that. If you're not plugged in, and you're the only one who can plug yourself in, you're not going to know what's going on. You're not going to know about these door-to-door confiscations that are going on in California. You're not going to know what's happening in New York. By the way, we're going to get an update on the New York SAFE Act in about 30 minutes. Gun confiscations going on there. It's crazy stuff. Prosecution for having 10 rounds, believe it or not. It's nut stuff. You're not going to know this stuff. You got to belong to GOAL if you're in Massachusetts. You got to belong to the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association. You have to get off your butt and get involved. You got to write a check now and then. Doesn't have to be a big one. I mean, if you can do a big one, that's great. But you got to get there, do something. Invite somebody to the range, take them shooting. Put somebody in your will. Do something. Get off the couch, get off the bench, get in the game. And if you're doing that, more power to you. Now turn around and grab some other hunting, shooting buddies of yours and pull them in too. Hey, when we come back, what happens when the city tells you to take down that sign with the AR-15 on it?
Firearms, ammunition, recreational and competitive shooting, training, hunting, and yes, even politics. You're listening to Gun Talk. Call us now at 1-866-825-5486. That's 1-TOM-TALK-GUN. Or reach out to us via email at tom@guntalk.com.